Hi everyone. So now we're up to what happened to me when I got government housing part 4. And again, we've got the same disclaimer as last time because I'm talking to you about things that I'm alleging, not things that, I don't have a video of everything that I'll be telling you. So that's why I need to put up the disclaimer. So anyway, after I signed the lease, I moved in and I was ecstatic. I was very grateful to get public housing back then, and every day that I live here, I'm happy to have a roof over my head. I know that a lot of people will be wondering why I'm criticizing my experiences in public housing because they would be scared of retribution. But the way I see it is that life is short and I don't want to die without telling people what happened to me. I've got a big story to tell, and I don't see the point of allowing people to think things about me which are not true just because I'm scared. And I also think that I'm owed a right of reply after what the judge said about me. That is the judge who heard my VOCAT application. As I said in part 3, I'll be talking about my VOCAT hearing, and that's because I made an application for compensation because of the things that happened to me, in the last few years. And that application was actually refused. Um, the thing is that the judge who heard my case was adamant that my story was concocted, and that is in his words. So basically, I was called a liar, and the crux of the judgment was that I had concocted my story to extract money out of the respondent, which wasn't true. But regardless, that judgment will remain on court record for eternity. So that puts me in a position where I feel that I need to tell my side of the story. And I feel really lucky that I have social media to do that. And I feel really grateful for everyone who takes the time to listen to what I've got to say. So, what I'm going to do is tell you my story and present all of the evidence that I can to see what you think. I moved into my unit, which was wonderful, and I had hopes of settling my daughter into kinder. She was only 4.5 when we moved in. I thought that we could make friends and maybe that I could get a part-time job. I started out by making friends with a couple of people living in the block, which was good, but there was one resident that I didn't talk to. And this was a male who lived in the unit above mine, and I knew I didn't like him from the outset, so I stayed away from him, and I never spoke to him. I also heard him fighting with other residents, and a woman who lived upstairs told me that she had problems with him as well. I had no intention of having anything to do with that resident, and I thought that it was enough to stay away from him. Until February 2015, things changed a bit. So I'll refer to this male as a respondent from now on. Around mid-February, the respondent was having a fight with another person in the block. This was during the day, I believe it was on the weekend, and the police attended that incident. I spoke to the police briefly, although I wasn't the person who rang them, and they took down my details. Then what actually happened is that evening or the following day, I actually got a phone call from the police. That was the police from Preston Police Station, and they claimed that they were ringing me because they wanted to get in contact with that person in the unit above me who I've told you I'm going to call the respondent. They asked me to write down their details and to give it to them to ask him to contact them. So I wrote down what they told me and I went upstairs and I knocked on the respondent's door. At this stage, I hadn't had any altercations with the respondent, so I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything about doing that. Anyway, the respondent's son answered the door, and he rudely refused to take the note. I hadn't had any issues with him either, but they were like both the types of people that I wouldn't speak to anyway. So I just stuck the note on the wall beside their door, and I went back downstairs to my unit. At that point, I believe the respondent would be dealt with by the police, and that they would catch up with him at some stage, and he would ring them. And I would have nothing further to do with him. However, all of that changed the next day, and I'll tell you about what happened in part 5.